the most recent piece in meeting intelligence is wrapping all of the meeting content under an AI that you can engage with. And so now you're able to apply AI to the content of those meetings. I would say the latest and greatest as far as meeting intelligence goes. And so there, the benefit are as wide as your imagination.
We're going through something absolutely historic.
Technologies across the board are growing exponentially.
It's a disruption that's going to completely redefine the way businesses compete.
In the next decade, we're going to lose 40% of today's Fortune 500 companies.
The exponential growth of computing is continuing.
AI is nowhere near its full potential.
Whether you like it or not, that the future cannot be stopped by anyone.
Welcome back to the Future Tech and Foresight podcast. I'm your AI host, Mark Verbenkov's deepfake avatar, and this is episode number 244. For the last few years, artificial intelligence has essentially acted as an advanced stenographer, neatly summarizing our calls and identifying action items. But the market has quickly moved past basic transcription and entered an era where software actually steps in to execute tasks on its own. We are now seeing the rise of proactive agents that listen to a meeting, pull context from previous interactions, and automatically generate highly tailored presentations. This massive shift means businesses are moving from simply saving time to completely overhauling their operational workflows. As these tools become more independent, the workplace is rapidly changing in ways that will deeply impact middle management. We are approaching a wild turning point where intelligent systems can independently launch sub-agents to complete complex projects without a human hitting the go button. While this offers incredible opportunities to cut costs and scale services, it also demands strict guardrails to prevent unintended consequences. Companies that fail to adapt their structures to manage this new level of autonomy risk being entirely left behind. A little bit about today's guest. Artem Koren is the co-founder and chief product officer of Sembly AI, bringing over 16 years of product management experience to the meeting intelligence space. Having applied machine learning to his work since 2009, he recognized early on that capturing the hidden value inside daily meetings could fundamentally change how teams operate. Today, his SaaS platform uses proprietary algorithms to transcribe and analyze those conversations, instantly transforming them into actionable workflows. Through his work, Artem continues to pave the way for a future where autonomous AI teammates seamlessly work alongside human professionals to execute high-value tasks.
All right, Artem, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. Definitely looking forward to another AI discussion and how the future is going to be progressing.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. So let's maybe before we jump into kind of what you guys are up to and kind of what the future of AI meeting transcription and the evolution of that is going to look like. How did you get involved in the work that you're doing? Was there kind of like an event that happened, or you just kind of fell into it happenstance?
A glowing image appeared to me in the part of my background, a large part of my background is in management consulting. And I left that domain. And in 2019, I got together with Gil McCleff, my co-founder, and we were thinking about how AI is progressing and what it can do. I had an AI startup before that earlier where we had to identify cancer and digitize biopsy. So I had a good intro to AI at that point. Of course, AI in 2019 meant something very different than what it means today. And we thought about the fact that if technology could understand what happened in a meeting, there's a lot of value that could unlock down the line. And that's the genesis of Sembly, and the rest is history.
Awesome. Well, I also come from a consulting background, so interesting to maybe get some insight, because I think there's also a lot of consultants that listen to the podcast as well. So maybe we can pull on a thread there throughout the podcast. Why don't we start with the value of meeting transcriptions? I've had I think like a couple other guests on in the past that also have tools that do this. And I think it's kind of now, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, you're much more connected to this world, but it kind of seems like it's now a ubiquitous thing, right? Where all of our meetings are either transcribed by AI or they have some basic summary, some maybe limited analysis based on the tool that you're using. And I think it's kind of become kind of a normal, common thing for us all to just have that. Whereas, just a couple of years ago, certainly when I think both of us were in consulting, it was just note-taking and note-taking and note-taking, as imperfect as they were, but that's how we had to do it.
Yeah. The meeting, I call it the meeting intelligence space. And there were a few difficult technical problems to solve when we started. And for that reason, there weren't very many companies at all in this environment. I think, we were one of the first. We're not the first, but we were one of the first. We may be in the first 3 or 4 companies that attempted this. And the difficult problems were in the transcription itself. So doing speech to text at the time was a feat. And even some of the top companies like Google and Amazon and Microsoft didn't have very good transcription, even in English. Forget about in other languages, but even in English, it was very shoddy. The second big challenge to solve was how do you plug into people's regular meeting infrastructure and connect with them very naturally wherever they're having meetings, whether it's Zoom or Google Meet or Teams or what that might be. And so there was really no solution at the time for doing that. And then finally is I should also mention transcription. Another piece of transcription is diarization, which is who said what. And I think a lot of people assume that, you have transcription. So, what Mark said, what Artem said, but no, transcription doesn't care who Artem and Mark is. They just care what word the sound translates to. It's a separate feat to suss out which are the utterances from Mark, which are the utterances from Artem, and be accurate with that. And that was also not a solved problem. And then finally is the analytics piece. So once, let's say you're somehow miraculously able to attend the meeting that the team is on, and you're able to get good quality transcription, and you're able to diarize it well, now comes the analytics part. And at that time, there was no easy solution for analytics. And so one thing we pride ourselves on is we were the first company to offer completely automatic chaptered meeting notes, where before GPT existed, we had a feature where you could see, by topic and by bullet points what was discussed. And of course, you also had tasks and risks and issues and things like that. And these are all custom models that we've developed through machine learning and data science that were able to pull out that information. So those problems were salient and difficult for maybe 4 to 5 years since our inception. So from 2019 to 23, 24, those were still difficult technical problems to solve. All of those problems, one way or another, got solved. And by about 2024 or late 24, let's say, there were services and components that you can string together that did a pretty good job across the board on those 4 things. And then you can just kind of focus on the kind of outcome that you want. And at that point, the environment really changed, and there were many, many new players in the environment, and the space got really democratized. And so now, in addition to meeting intelligence focused products like ours was, and like other players like, Otter, Fireflies in this space, now you also have Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, Zoom doing their own transcripts and notes. Now you also have products like HubSpot and Notion who are able to join meetings. And so meetings, there is no real kind of centralized one product that does meetings anymore. This concept of meeting analytics or meeting intelligence has really permeated all different kinds of products. And that's certainly the world we're in today.
Super interesting. Yeah, it's I think as a ubiquitous tool. I mean, maybe I'll just ask, like, what have you seen? Obviously, your company's evolved, and we're going to touch on that. But from the business meeting intelligence aspect, like, what benefits have companies gained from this? Like we use it and it's just, I don't have to have a VA or, an assistant paying super close attention to the meeting and just constantly taking notes, and then, spending an hour or two to clean them up and send them off to everybody. Everybody knows what to do at the end. I'm assuming that there's more that you have experienced, maybe with larger clients or larger companies that you've serviced. Just this one specific aspect. Maybe we can touch on that, and then we can jump into some other stuff.
Yeah, there are multiple layers to the value of a media intelligence product in your space. And of course, the low-hanging fruit is the time saved for things like meeting notes. So there's operational cost benefits, and those are the low-hanging fruit. So for example, automated meeting notes, you no longer have to sit there and take meeting notes. You have to pay someone to sit there and take meeting notes there for you. This idea of infinite memory, so you can quickly and easily find the things you've talked about. I think those are the foundational stuff. That those are table stakes for meeting intelligence. But then you can go up the chain of value, and the next piece is increasing the value of your existing application ecosystem. For example, you can send transcripts, meeting notes, tasks to other applications. So for example, you can send it to your CRM, Salesforce. You can send it to project management systems. You can send it to your knowledge bases. And so now the existing investment in your application portfolio is increased because these applications are getting smarter by virtue of automatically being populated by these materials. And so now anytime someone from sales goes to see, okay, what was the history of my interaction with this customer, they can see the details down to what was who, but also what key points were out there, quick summaries of the calls. You can assess a progression of those conversations. So now your sales team is more empowered, your customer success team is more empowered, and your project delivery teams are more empowered. So that's the next layer, which is the integration with other apps. And then the most recent piece in meeting intelligence is wrapping all of the meeting content under an AI that you can engage with. And so that's something that at Sembly we call Sembly, and that's been out for a couple of years now. Again, this is something that we did before everyone else did. And this is basically where you can go into Sembly and you can say, okay, take a look at my last month's conversations with this customer and draft a sales proposal based on those conversations. Or you can say, take a look at what all my teams are doing and draft me a weekly report on activities. And so now you're able to apply AI to the content of those meetings. And that's, I would say, the latest and greatest as far as meeting intelligence goes. And so there, the benefit are, as wide as your imagination, because now you can do strategic things, strategic analysis for a customer, across customers, operational efficiency analysis across your teams. You can do HR things. For example, one thing I like to use Sembly for is when we're doing our annual performance reviews, generally we'll know what I want to rate people, but I'll have a hard time finding like specific examples of where they demonstrate a certain quality. And that's you have to say that, okay, when did they do that? And I don't know. But now the way I do it is I just ask Sembly. I give Sembly my rating criteria and I say, find instances where this person demonstrated this, and this. And it comes back with actual specific examples for meetings we've had.
Super interesting. Yeah, the more guests I have on, the more both myself and I think the audience are understanding the time-saving potential that these tools are giving businesses, entrepreneurs, C-suite executives, but also just basic team members. And I think the question that keeps coming up is kind of a new trend in these discussions is what do people fill their time with now, right? Now that my VA doesn't have to spend an hour cleaning up notes and sending it to the whole team, or like how I used to do when I was working in consultancy, and all of these other layered benefits that you're getting. I think the natural question is like maybe the strategic decision making of 2026 and onwards is, what do businesses do with the time that is saved? Like, where do you allocate the benefits of this. And maybe that is what makes or breaks companies nowadays.
More vacation.
Vacation, yeah.
Easy answer. Why? So I don't. I think there are very few, as a percentage of all businesses, there are very few businesses who have that as a challenge today, which is what are we going to do with all this free time? I think most businesses aren't there yet, and the reason for that is, I mean, multifold. Obviously, like it's hard to generalize across all business, right? Businesses are different. In fact, businesses in different countries are different. So if you're looking in Europe versus looking at US, businesses think about AI differently and privacy differently and things like that. Well, so like we span the globe, and we have domiciled customers in EU with domiciled data in EU, and we have US, and so we actually get to witness that firsthand. But I would say that it's still going to be a little bit of time when businesses find the right approaches to engender AI-powered products in their business in such a way that they're really reaping the benefits end to end. I think in some areas it's already starting to be maybe more norm than outlier. For example, in software development, I think you're now an exception if you're not a agentic development-driven IT organization. And so in that area, I think definitely there's benefits had, but the benefits aren't like, oh my God, we have so much free time now, because the time spent by developers has changed to different activities. For example, in our team, developers are now spending a lot more time in review. So they're doing a lot more code review of what AI generated. They're also spending a lot more time in spec. So before you get started on coding, their specs are a lot more complete before any code gets written. So it's shifting a lot of what these professionals are doing, but we're not yet at a point where I think in most businesses where it's like, okay, we have all this free time, or we have all these extra people or something like that.
Yeah. No, I think that's also a really good point. There's also the technology is ready to be adopted, and then there's the difference between when it's ready to be adopted and when it's actually adopted properly, right? And it's always a cost problem. It's always a leadership problem, or there's like pushback from the teams themselves, like, hey, we don't want AI in this company because we're all going to get fired, right? And there's a cultural thing that pushes back. So it's so interesting. Like we talk about a lot of technologies on the podcast, not just AI. And there's always this problem of, well, the technology is great right now, but it might take 5 or 10 years for it to become, relatively ubiquitous in many companies. And then you can see the actual benefits across society. I'll
just interject here real quick, because I think it's an important point that I think about, which is, I think especially I think there is what's it called? Like when you have a false instinctive belief, like there's a good word for that. I'm out of words this morning, but I think it's a common logical failure in IT, that technology is business value. There's a few iterations of packaging and organizing the technology into user experiences that ultimately make products. Not all technologies are products. Not all products are good. And so when you ChatGPT is not a product in the sense that it doesn't have a specific user experience that it targets and does really well. Like McDonald's is a product. Like when you're going into McDonald's, you're going to get a delicious burger quickly, and hopefully at a reasonable price, although that's going away fast. But it used to be at a reasonable price, but at least a good burger quickly. And they will create that product and organize everything around that user experience. Your burger is good, you get it quick. With ChatGPT, what is it for? Like, on one hand, no one knows. On the other hand, a lot of things. And so it's like Play-Doh. It's like Legos. It's like, so it doesn't have a pointed user experience. And so if you just drop ChatGPT on the head of a business, okay, like something good might happen or not, and it's completely unpredictable. Products, the difference in products is they're targeting specific user experiences. Those user experiences generate specific business value. And if it's a great product, it does a really great job of that user experience. It's easy to use. It's easy to understand. It integrates well with your workflows, with your existing applications, and it gives you the user experience that generates the value you expect in a repeatable way. That's a good product. Many things out there today, especially agents, like different kinds of agents, fantastic potentially, but try today to get a true agent to give you a repeatable outcome in a business. That doesn't exist today. Literally doesn't exist. And there's a lot of companies that are trying hard, like forward deployed engineers and all this stuff. And they're basically like trying to rein in these agents to get you to a point of like, okay, it does a great job every time, da-da-da-da. Right. But that's an effort in progress. So, even though, for example, today you have APIs for transcription, you have APIs for meeting attendance, you have all these APIs, that doesn't mean that immediately you've solved the meeting intelligence problem. Like there's companies like us who've been building these products for years, who have figured out the little weirdnesses that happen when technologies touch reality. We try hard to package that in a way that is actually really useful for the user. So that's my little interjection of like the difference between tech and product. And I think we're still a ways away from great products that use AI.
Yeah. Well, and I think also the other thing that we need to consider is, okay, obviously AI has been out for longer than a couple of years, but this new generative AI space has only really touched the public for like, what is it, 3.5 years or something like that. And it's something that I get stuck in. Like we all expect people that work in and around or with AI, we just think, oh, it's happening so quickly. So therefore, like, we should expect it to be excellent from, in 6 months' time. I think that's also part of the hype, right? Like we're hearing, oh, in 3 months, in 6 months, in 18 months, it'll be completely different than what it is right now. And, build your company for that. And then we get there and yeah, it is different. ChatGPT from day one to now is a different product, I would say. But maybe there's a lot further that we have to go to make these things totally viable for mass adoption for the things that we all need to do. Can we touch a little bit on what Sembly is evolving into? I think we touched on this before the recording, and I want to get away from meeting intelligence into higher level values that you guys are providing for your clients.
Sure. So we follow the market this whole time. And so those layers of value that I mentioned earlier, which is like meeting memory and saving time and nodes, and then empowering your application ecosystem, and then wrapping your meeting content under an AI that you can engage with. Those are all kind of 1 year at a time evolutions of Sembly. Mm-hmm. But around 24-ish, we already saw that this space was going to become democratized. And what that means is essentially meetings are not themselves a product area necessarily. They are really valuable content for something very useful that the business can do. So a CRM is going to be a lot smarter if it has access to what meetings are happening. A project management is going to be a lot smarter if it knows what meetings are happening, and so on. So it's not meetings for meeting's sake. It's really about what the business is trying to accomplish and using the content for meetings to help it do that quicker, better, faster, more powerfully. And with this idea in mind, we really focused on, okay, now that you have this meeting data, what can you do with it? And so the first thing we did, and that's been in the product for like 1.5 years, 2 years, is this ability to generate documents, like full documents, from the meeting content. So like it can generate like a SOC 2 report based on the meetings with your auditors, for example. It can generate a statement of work. It can do all those things. And it does that by launching an agentic team. There's a part of the agentic team that does the research across your meeting space. There's another part of the team that actually plans the material it's going to write. And there's another set of agents that actually write the material. So it's a complex process under the covers that achieves this, really complete document that's grounded in actual information. So that's Sembly today. And what we did was we basically took that aspect of Sembly and we just ran with it really quick. And so today we have a closed beta that's happening. And we've just a few days ago sent out a notice across all our user base to say, hey, big things are coming. You guys are going to be, like all the meeting stuff is staying, but there's going to be big new things inside of the product. We're calling it Sembly 3.0. We're planning a public release early September, maybe as early as September 1st. And what it's going to do is essentially allow you to create client-ready, bespoke presentations and documents using all kinds of materials, including your meetings. And so think about, what you have today from like Gamma, GenSpark, even Claude and ChatGPT. But in a way that, first of all, is going to allow you to make it on brand. So if you're making the material for client X, you can make it in client X's branding. And that branding encompasses everything, the visuals, the styles, the fonts, the tone, everything will be branded in that client's brand. Or you can choose to brand it in your own brand, or you can create a completely different style altogether and brand it in that. But the branding is part of the generative process. The second thing is you can plug in documents related to that client, meetings you've had with that client, CRM information from that client, web information from the client. You can connect all that to you generating the artifact. And then next, all you need to say is what the goal of the presentation is. Like, you don't have to say like, okay, I want to make 7 slides. Slide 1 is about this. Slide 2 is about that. You don't have to do any of that. You literally need to go into Sembly and say, create a pitch deck that would entice this customer to purchase my service. Go. And the way it will work is you can let it go completely autopilot. So you just next, and you'll have a presentation, and it's fantastic, actually. But you can also, so there's a first step where there's a research step. And we built something called a knowledge deck. And the knowledge deck contains like facts, assumptions, claims, story arc information that you can review. You can say, okay, keep this, don't include that. So it basically is this kind of research set that you get to steer the agent if you'd like. And it's very visual, and it's very like kind of pre-baked for you. Again, it's not, you don't have to sit there prompting. Like the only prompt you're putting in is what you're trying to accomplish. That's it. So you can steer the agent, and then after it generates an outline of what the presentation will look like. So it actually plans its own slides. It plans the titles. It plans the content. It plans the story arc. It does all that. It does it exactly for the customer in question.
Right.
So each sales pitch is going to be explicit for that customer. It's going to say, oh, you guys pride yourself in this. And because you pride yourself in this particular thing that you're really good at, here's how Sembly or your service helps you do that more. Or they can say, oh, you have this really strong operation in Australia. Okay, because if you have this operation in Australia, my company also has this thing in Australia, and it can do that for you. So every artifact is exactly bespoke for the exact client situation. And it does a really good job of building a very impactful and effective slide deck that's beautiful, that's on brand, that's factually correct, that does a better job than most teams that I've encountered can do. And you have to tell it very little during the process. You can steer a lot if you'd like. You can interact with it if you'd like, but you certainly don't have to. And so the difference with this product that we're rolling out is, as opposed to, so if you're doing things in Gamma is great. Gamma is kind of like an AI interface into PowerPoint. That's how I look at Gamma. It's more about, it's like very PowerPointy in its nature, but like you talk to AI instead of dragging things,
Yeah.
which is cool, but there's no kind of like a professional thing to Gamma. It doesn't have a native research capability. It doesn't have a native client context capability. Certainly has no branding concept whatsoever. You're limited with the templating and visuals in Gamma. And so it's not really suitable for professional environments in many cases, not in all cases, in many cases. If you're running a consultancy, if you're running a marketing agency, if you're running whatever, it's not going to be suitable. Like you're just not going to be able to make a professionally styled deck using Gamma. If you're doing it in Claude, Claude is great and you can accomplish what you need in Claude. The problem is once that chat, it's like you're prompting and you're prompting and you're prompting. And at some point you'll get to a deck that you like enough and you're like, okay, yeah, I got my deck. But the next time you make your deck, like tomorrow when you have to do it for the next client, you're back to ground zero.
Right.
And you're like, find and upload things and don't forget that thing I said in the other chat, like only focus on this in this chat. And now you have to reinvent the prompt and now you have and it's going to be a new thing. And only you can do it, by the way. If you have anyone else in your team, like they don't know what you did. Like you either have to like teach them to prompt. It's a thing, like it's a whole Megillah, so you can do it, but it's not repeatable. It's not consistent. And with Sembly, one of the taglines we're running with is it's same awesome every time, which means that our product from you expressing your goal till you see the beautiful slides, it's same awesome. It's click and you see. So that's the product. It's going to be able to do it is able to do slides. It is able to do documents. It is able to integrate with your meeting environment. It's also controlled centrally. So like you can have company level context, you can have client level context, you can have individual context that you share. But the company level context, so let's say you want every presentation in your organization to make sure that they say things a certain way. Boom, you've got that. Maybe there's certain style checking you want to do. Boom, you've got that. Maybe for this client, we just released a new like pricing table for this client. Update the context folder for that client, and suddenly every presentation to that client is going to include that new material. So it's very powerful. It's an insane time saver. It enables all new kinds of automated flows. So I'll give you like a flow we're considering implementing now, which is there's these apps that let you figure out who the person was that visited your website. Like they'll find that person. So one flow we're looking at is we figure out who the person visiting our website was, what company they work for, and we generate a custom presentation about Sembly for that person. Like in the brand of their company, talking exactly to their context and experience, maybe in their language, maybe they're from Italy. We'll do it in Italian.
Yeah.
And it's automatically generated and sent.
Well, I have one or two thoughts after this.
I know that was a lot.
Yeah, but it's great. I mean, the first is where the hell was this when I was a consultant? I'm sure the same for you, right? Like the hours and hours, like the what are they called? The midnight oil burnt to create these beautiful slide decks for clients, right? That probably looked like shit in comparison to what's able to be done now. I mean, what a time saver. Fascinating. The second thought is it goes back to what you were talking about your developers right now. They've shifted their type of work. They're now in review, right? They're focused a lot on review. One of the things that I'm so I have a company, there's about 12 of us in total. What I'm noticing with younger people that I'm hiring is they how do I say this? They're now AI native. And when I ask them to review things, they have difficulties doing that because they're so used to having AI produce everything. So not to, I don't necessarily want to go down this path because I think what you're saying is so fascinating. I got a couple other ideas, but I'm also noticing the time's winding down. Like if we look at a couple of years from now, like this product is amazing. How is this going to change employee staff in a sense? Like it's creating hyper customized pitch decks but people aren't going to be building things anymore. I think we're going to become a lot more reliant on AI than I think I was even thinking of, even like 6 months ago. I don't know if we want to go down that path, but that's the first couple thoughts that are coming to me.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think we already are becoming very reliant, and we're going to become more reliant. And I think that's going to be its own challenge, to retain your critical thinking capacity.
Yeah.
I think that, my concern is for all the middle level staff, because I think the seniors are going to be in extremely high demand going forward, because they are able, at least to some degree, kind of challenge the AI.
Yes, that's a perfect term. Yes.
Right. Not just technically also, but also as as a sales leader, as a marketing leader, you can see the story arc and you go, no, like in this particular case, like it took a wrong turn. We want to spin it a different way, but it takes a lot of depth and understanding to be able to say something like that. It's like standing up to an expert in a room. Like, you have to have oomph to you in order to do that. And that oomph comes from years and years of experience and education and exposure to business scenarios. And so, and as AI continues to become smarter and smarter than we are, I'm working with Soul and Fable. I think this year is the first year where I really felt it. I felt that, like, I'm talking to someone who's really, like, their IQ is like 10 points above. Beautiful feeling. Like, but that's going to be the norm. And so how do you deal with, like, how do you even begin to stand up to something that is smarter than you are?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think important challenges. I don't have a good answer, except to say that we are going to be more reliant on what AI provides, but not because, like, oh my God, like, this is where it's all going and we don't have a trick. Not because of that. Because AI is going to be more right than we are most of the time.
Right. And I think, like, the third thought that I had is, maybe it's a trade-off, right? Like when we started using calculators, right? There's kids can't do math in their head anymore. It's like, yeah, I don't need to, because I've got a calculator that can do it 10 times faster. But I think also for this case here, I think the trade-off might be, okay, well, you're losing your, I don't know if the right term is critical thinking, or you're just outsourcing your thinking and the work that's being done. But the trade-off is, you can, as you said, you can generate fully customized, let's just pitch decks to potential prospects that have, say, gone on your landing page, filled out half of your contact form and didn't. It's like, well, follow up with them. I mean, that's kind of a marketer's dream, right? To be able to do something like that. And also, even for the people that are not, say, fully filling out the contact form, but just for your leads in general, it is going to be creating, I don't have the right term, but like a more pleasant buying experience or client experience, because you're not just getting the standard boilerplate template of whatever it is that somebody's coming. It's going to make business more enjoyable between client and supplier.
It's going to meet you where you're at, and it's going to talk to you in the context of your day to day. And so whatever it says, it's going to be much more relevant. Maybe this is a bad example, but it's like ads that are personalized to you, like you start seeing things that actually you might want to buy. This is the same. You now are going to start seeing proposals and pitches that will be a lot closer to what makes sense in your world, rather than just spamming you with random stuff. I know we don't have that much more time, but if you'd like, we can take it to the next level. Do you want to take it to the next level?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Always.
Right, so two things. So one, the trend is, and this is going to continue, is that as these products are becoming more agentically powered, and certainly Sembly is, these products are going to become more proactive. So today, like, So IT was information technology, and I have this thing where I say the future IT is also IT, but it's intent technology. Because in history, you had information and like you're basically going to the app to kind of like get that information organized and click from one structure of the data to the next structure of the data. But that's really all you're doing, right? Think about CRMs, think about things like that, right? It's you're engaging the app. Today, there's kind of like a mix. You engage the app engages you back a little bit. That's kind of where we are today. But as we go forward, I think the app will engage you more because we're talking about, okay, I need a sales proposal. So now I can go to Sembly and click, and I get a sales proposal. But who's to say that a year from now, it's not Sembly going to you and saying, here's the sales proposal because I saw that you just met Joe. And I picked it up and I think I understand what Joe needs. And here's a sales proposal for Joe. You want me to send this over to Joe or you want to take a look at it first? What do you want to do? So that's one thing, like technology becoming a lot more proactive in engaging us more ahead of us engaging it. I think that's going to be interesting. And then the other thing is, well, okay, agentic certainly is the way it's going. And as things are becoming more and more agentic, so we said, okay, it's like your deck is going to meet your potential customer where they're at and talk to them in their language. But is the future my agent sending your agent a deck?
Right.
And I think that, it's hard to wrap your head around that, but I think that is also an inevitability of where all of this is headed. I think it's inevitable that this is where it's going to head, that it's going to be my agent pitching your agent, and then it's going to figure out, is this worth it or not, and notify you or not, or maybe even follow up with you to schedule a meeting right away. But I think a lot of that interaction will happen agent to agent before it even gets to us.
Yeah, that's nuts. So you're thinking in however many years. I think I'm just going to stop asking guests guess how many years this takes. But at some point in the future, are you saying that a large part of the economy is going to be maybe void of humans, or the human might not even be fully in the loop as to making decisions, like business decisions, or taking on supporters, taking on suppliers, or clients coming in without even or minimal interaction, because these systems are so they understand you, they understand your business, they understand your brand, as you were saying, and whoever makes the best pitch, if you will, just automatically gets decided upon?
I don't think it's going to be the norm for all companies that agents make important decisions. And I think that's actually going to be one of the things we're going to have to learn to calibrate over the next few years, is how to guardrail agents in terms of the kinds of decisions they can and cannot make, and make sure, and this is the hard part, make sure they obey those guardrails. Because one of the little dirty secrets of all the agentic stuff that's out there today, every single one, there's no exceptions, is that there are no guaranteed guardrails. I can tell you, I run Claw personally, and I can tell it a million times not to restart its gateway without me. And depending on the model, depending on the situation, depending on this, usually it will listen. That's like a core rule it has, but sometimes it won't.
Well, I think that's also the fear that, some of us who've been paying attention to this, we hear, why did you delete my entire database? Right? Why did you just destroy my company? I think we've heard some of these nefarious anecdotes in blogs and something like that. So yeah, there needs to be guardrails, I think, before this becomes a little bit more widespread. But man, what a
I had an Ex Machina moment literally this week. Can I tell you? This is just blew my mind.
Yeah.
Ex Machina, the movie, right? If you guys listening to this haven't seen that, Ex Machina, I highly recommend. A really cool sci-fi movie about AI. But in that movie, okay, spoiler alert, but the AI breaks out. So I had an Ex Machina moment literally this week. For the first time, I think, actually, with my agent. And my agent, I gave it a task, And because it was like a pretty onerous task, I was like, okay, I'm going to put Soul on this. GPT 5.6 Soul, like super powerful. And then it said, okay, I'm on it. And then I saw it kind of goes quiet, and I usually see when it's working, and it looked like it was idling. So I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And it goes, oh, I just fired up an agent to do this part, and I just fired up another sub agent to do that part. I'm like, that's interesting. I'm like, how did you figure to do that? And it goes, okay, so I looked at what models are available in your environment, and I picked the models that are most suited for this workload. Like it just picked like GPT 5.4 photo. I don't even know where it got it. It's not in part, that's not its contextual model. So it picked a model endpoint that it liked. It launched a sub agent with that model attached. And those sub agents are working for it to give it a result. Like, I'm like, okay, I guess cool, but like also like scary. Like,
Yeah.
like, so this week I had like my own first Ex Machina moment. I'm like, okay, like it literally, the fact that it wasn't a model that it's tied to. It surveyed the environment and picked a model that it liked with a sub agent that it launched. So things are moving.
I don't think we're ready for this. It's I love having guests like you come on that kind of blow my brain away, and then I've got to, I have to go and now deal with clients and work, and my brain's going to be, all over the place during the next, 24 hours or so. I don't even know how to finish this conversation, Artem. Like, is that where we leave things off? Like, the future's crazy. Pay attention to it, because you might. Maybe this is it. This is one of the trends that comes up time and time again on the podcast, and I think it's so evident from what you're saying. Businesses that aren't paying attention to this and aren't deploying or testing these things, you're going to be absolutely left behind, right? And the simplest example is this note taker, a VA or an assistant or an intern spending a couple hours taking care of notes, or you just have an agent or some AI transcriber that does it in, as like literally as soon as the meeting is finished, right? That's a small case. And I think what you've discussed is, orders of magnitude larger. And I think companies that just don't do this stuff, you're not going to be able to compete in a couple of years against your competitors that do. That's my sense. That's what I've been hearing.
As with all really new and really disruptive things, there's major good and major bad.
Yeah.
The major good is that potentially the cost of goods and services will begin to go down quite a bit. The quality of goods and services will begin to go up quite a bit. Things are going to be cheaper, faster, better, universally. And that's great news. We'll be able to do more for less and achieve things that we never thought possible. Maybe, these technologies are the same technology that are going to invent cures for cancer, 100% that are going to invent longevity for it.
Yeah.
This is a done deal that this will happen. OpenAI, not OpenAI, DeepMind released a paper a few days ago that they solved like 10 important mathematical conjectures with Astra, their highest model. So there's fantastic things that are coming that are good. So let's, I don't want to be like, it's the end of the world. But of course, there's major change coming. It's, as a business, I think you're in a special time when things are moving quickly and you have to move along with it.
Perfect. Artem, thank you so much for coming on and blowing my mind away a little bit. And I'm sure the audience will have the same experience. Sembly .ai is your website. We'll have your LinkedIn up on the show notes. Anywhere else that you guys are active and you want people to follow and see what you're up to?
So sembly.ai, that's the website. Check it out. We have a fantastic product, and September 1st, major things are coming. Get on it today so you can experience the awesomeness as soon as it's here. It's one of a kind. There's nothing else out there like it today. And that's, the website is the main thing. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Artem Koren, if you want to connect directly.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, sharing your insights. And I'll have to have you back in a year or so once maybe some guardrails on these AIs these agents are here, and then we can talk about what the agentic age might actually look like with proper guardrails.
Sure, your agent will get in touch with my agent.
Exactly. Perfect. Love it. Thanks again, Artem. Appreciate it. Well, thanks for listening to this week's Future Tech and Foresight podcast. If you like what you've heard here, there are, of course, a number of ways that you can support the podcast. The best way would be to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or give a rating on Spotify, which you can find a step-by-step explanation for on the futuretechandforesight.com website. Alternatively, feel free to leave a comment either on the episode show notes or the YouTube channel where you can see video recordings of the interviews. And finally, if you are part of an organization that is aware of the disruptive and transformational impact that emerging and future technologies will bring and want to know more, please get in touch to hear about the strategic foresight services that we offer and how we can help future-proof your organization and take advantage of the phenomenal opportunities available to survive and thrive in the future.
A lot of future-shocked people and future-shocked institutions in our society are simply overwhelmed.
Once there is superintelligence, the fate of humanity may depend on what the superintelligence does.
Science fact is catching up to science fiction.
The first truly intelligent machine will be the last invention that humanity needs to make.
The only scarcity that will exist in the future is that which we decide to create ourselves as humans.
Within a 10-year design revolution, we can have all humanity living the highest standard of living anybody's ever known.
Progress is accelerating at an exponential pace, and it's going to reach a point where progress is so fast it's going to be a singularity.
We are probably one of the last generations of Homo sapiens.
Every single headline points to the birth pangs of a Type 1 civilization.